Like, because these people are as important as family. I see most of these guys on the street and women on the street more than I see my kids or grandchildren. So they become, over time, you get to know them, they become just like family. I've been blind since 1983. My wife and I got married in 1982, and I lost my sight the next summer. I was working on a pipe, and it blew up in my face, so I lost my sight 1983. So yeah, all the stuff I've done on the street and my whole adult life, I've been blind.
Harold, Washington, we go back up state, usually the other side of the street, and then back to where we are.
One day during the pandemic, one of our guys, Cliff, died of a drug overdose. It was a real sad story because it was about 100 degrees in Chicago that week, and his body was under some bushes, and all the other homeless people knew and were calling the police and reporting his body was out there for over a week decaying. They said you couldn't even tell it was a human being. So I started out doing maybe 15 sandwiches as I went home to the train, and then on weekends, because I had so many kids in our programs, I would bring kids down here and they would help us feed people on Saturdays. So then I would do like 15, 20 on a Wednesday, maybe 30 or 40 on a Saturday with a bunch of grade school kids that were coming.
They get like 2 snacks, and it's usually always bread, like a chocolate donut and then these bimbo that we get donations from. And then just the sandwich. And then usually on Saturdays it's a little bit more like snacks because we don't give them like a drink. But today I think they're getting lemonade.
During the pandemic, that's when it really grew. So we went from feeding maybe 40 or 50 people a week to over 100 plus. And suddenly people wanted to give us clothing. And so since we were getting to know the homeless people so well, we added a whole lot more to just the lunches. So we were doing socks and clothing and basically anything else anyone would give us. We started serving soup and hot chocolate. So it went from a real small-time operation to something much bigger.
Women's socks. So, what about the hip? Yeah, there's a T-shirt and maybe a pair of socks in there. Toothpicks. Yeah, someone donated them to us. Good to see you.
All right, God bless you.
Have a good day.
So starting maybe June or July last summer, we went from maybe feeding 100, 125 people to 150, 175 because there was so much more need, which meant more donations. We were getting, our basement started getting full of stuff, our garages full of stuff. People knew of us, and but that meant we had to have more volunteers. So it went from just me and Caitlin to me and Rachel, and then other volunteers during the week, which has been really interesting because my guess is over the years, I never kept track, but I bet we've had 1,000 other volunteers come down and help us, which is really neat. So a couple weeks ago, we actually came down here, Lisa and I, and a nun from Uganda, who we kind of accidentally were put in touch with, and a kid from Sierra Leone. So there's Lisa and I and a kid from Sierra Leone and a nun from Uganda. So it's been really interesting, not just the people we served on the street, but the volunteers we've had. It took us 9 years to get to 10,000, and now it's just increased so much. So I think the second 10,000 took, instead of 9 years, it took like 6. Now it takes 3 to get to 10,000 lunches.
And every 1,000 lunches, Jeff gives away. Is it $100?
Well, that was getting to be too much too often.
Yeah, because now he serves so many people.
I had that job, which wasn't really a great job. It was just because Lisa and I were married. I had to work. She was pregnant, so I had to make money. So I was working that job, and so what it did was it allowed me to go back to school because I obviously couldn't go back to that kind of work, being an engineer. So I went back to school as soon as I can. So I had the accident in July. And went back to school the following January. So it got me back on track, I think. So the accident, it doesn't sound like a good thing, but it ended up being a good thing because it sent me back in the direction I probably should have been going in. So I went back to school and studied sociology, social work, and then eventually got a social work degree from University of Chicago. So it was good.